So Scott, it's been great to have you with the organization for the last several years, and I just wanted to talk with you today about what drew you to the Alliance Group. Where were you at in your career that made you look at us a little bit differently than maybe you had from some of your other previous experiences, and what did you think we brought to the table?
Yeah, very valid question. My experience, I'd been 14 years in traditional financial planning, financial services, and it made some good money and was having a decent experience. But for me, it was a mindset. You introduced me to some books. I read the banking book. I read Len Ranier's books. I began to see that I was leading people down a path that was strictly based on ifs, maybes. If the stock market doesn't crash again, if taxes don't go up again, if the government doesn't change the rules again, etc. And for me, I began to look at that from my own personal perspective, my own finances, and for my children's sake, and it was enough to cause me to start to say, I'm having a mind shift here. Where do I go with this mind shift, and how can I help my clients in the process? And it was at that point that I came and talked with you, and I said, I've been trying to teach people banking and some of these financial ideas for a long time, but I've been trying to use the wrong products to do it. Can you help me? And it was at that point that you sat down with me and showed me that until I learned how to be my own banker, I couldn't teach somebody else how to do it. That was the beginning for me.
Perfect. So how has that affiliation with us, though, now that you have this new knowledge, new information, how has that really impacted your life and changed your practice? How has being affiliated with the Alliance Group made such a big difference for you?
Well, I suppose for me, I guess the real answer to that question is it had a big impact on my income, which was a positive, but it also had a huge impact on my feeling of the sense of satisfaction I was getting from dealing with my clients. The ability to sit down with a previous client and be able to say they were trying to save $200 or $300 a month in some financial vehicle that I tried to introduce them to, and here they were able now, because of what we were teaching them about lost opportunity costs and wealth transfers and stuff, they were able at this point to take the same client and maybe take $1,200 or $1,300 a month just because we showed them how to find the money. For me, again, this impacted my life because you showed me how to do it. It impacted my children's lives because I showed them how to do it. And so for me, the sense of satisfaction that comes from being able to do that for people has been huge. So that would be the answer to that question. For me, it's a sense of satisfaction as well as much better income. My income's been better since I came here. I doubled my income the first year with you, with the Alliance Group. So that would be my answer.
Oh, perfect, excellent. So let's talk a little bit about how, you were a little bit of an agency builder before you came with us. In fact, more than a little bit of an agency builder. You built an agency. You were successful at that. So how has being affiliated with the Alliance Group impacted your ability to continue to build an organization, and what has that meant to you?
Well, in all honesty, I came here and kind of walked away for the first year and a half of building anything because I became a personal producer. I kind of watched what was taking place here. I realized that I could teach it to other people, so I did. I became a personal producer, and I got very good at doing presentations and doing personal production. But there came a point where I began to realize that I wanted to own something. I wanted to own a business, and I had done it previously. I knew how to build an agency. And when I looked at banking and legacy and what we do from a debt standpoint and being able to transform debt into wealth and being able to say, I can recruit to that. It's not just something I can sell to. I can recruit to that. I can hire, bring on, teach, train, and duplicate myself with people who can buy into that concept. And so for me, it wasn't about simply hiring people to a product or even a concept. It was about hiring people to an idea that they could build something financial for themselves and do the same thing for their own families. So recruiting-wise, I went for that first 2 years, basically did a lot of personal production, and then jumped right in and said, I've been a recruiter before, I've built agencies before, I want to do it again, but I want to do it this time with something that lasts, because banking and legacy and the things we teach here, the thought processes we teach here are dramatically different. We're trying to get people to think a layer deeper, and I feel like I've been able to do that with my clients who now stay with me and want to know more and more and more.
So how have you found the support to be with the Alliance Group in terms of the training, the materials, the presentation processes, and so forth? How has that made a difference, or how has that impacted your ability to build this business that you want to, that you're in the process of building?
Let me tell you where my thought goes. When you say that, when I came here, you said to me, Scott, this is going to be an education. You're going to have to get some education because you didn't get it where you were previously, and you were absolutely right. So I went to seminars. I purchased some software. I went with you to different places, and I learned that I didn't know what I thought I knew before. And so I began to realize I needed to spend a little bit of money to go through a process. To make money, I needed to spend some money. So seminars and the training have been tremendous. The books that I've now read that I had never even been introduced to in my previous company have been a tremendous impact, again, on me and my children, on my clients. From a training standpoint, I don't know anywhere that I could have gone to have a better training experience. And now to be able to take that training and move it onto a team, that's the value for me. I look at where we've been, where I've been with you for the last 4 or 5 years, and the ability to take that knowledge and transfer it to a group of people and help them to help their clients and their family members do the same thing that I've done. So for me, training's been tremendous.
Well, let's talk about this team that you're building, and maybe address how much of an impact what the Alliance Group has introduced to your team, your organization. How has that changed the lives of some of the sub-producers that you've brought on and trained, and what do you see going forward?
Well, many of them are having similar experience to what I had. I was on a training sale this morning with a young man who came from my former organization and who watched what we did, watched that training presentation, watched us close that sale, watched the clients be just ecstatic about where we're going to transform their debt into wealth and start him on a banking plan. And it'll put about $3,500 in his pocket this weekend. So he looked at me on the way home and he said, I've been trained by the best trainers in my organization, and I went to doctors and attorneys and chiropractors over the last 6 months with my trainer in my former organization. He says, I haven't closed one case. Not one case. He says, I can't believe what we just did, and I can't believe how happy the clients are. So I can tell you that there are people on this team who are now generating serious incomes and learning how to do these presentations on their own, as well as, number one, they're becoming their own banker. They're working on their own legacy policies and plans with their own families. So certainly the guys on my team, the gals on my team are looking at this and saying, finally, I can see a way to turn what I believe in into cash flow for my own family, because the training is there and it works.
Excellent. So in conclusion, what would you tell people that were considering the Alliance Group as maybe an organization to get involved with or become affiliated with? What would you tell them about the opportunity if you had to summarize it?
I spent 15 years in traditional financial planning world. And again, you can take this however you want, because you and I have become pretty good friends over the years. But the truth is, we have Monday morning trainings that I have never, ever seen anything comparable in 15 years. And I've been trained by some pretty good guys. And it's not just you, it's what goes on with the organization, it's what we're recommended, it's the reading we do. My recommendation to anybody looking at this organization would be to say, look very closely, compare to whatever you want to compare to, and then come on to our training, see who we are, see what we do, and recognize that the thought processes that take place here, the ability to get you to think a layer deeper, to get the client to think a layer deeper, it's unparalleled. I've never seen anything like it. It's unparalleled, and I believe where we're going from the Alliance Group standpoint is massive growth, because we'll attract good quality people who look at this and say, that's where I want to be. That's who I want to be. That's what I want to do.
Great. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate your time today.
You're very welcome. Thanks.